Hello, this is V-Disc Daddy. One of the musicians who made the best use of the V-Disc format was Duke Ellington. Duke Ellington used the V-Disc records to help express humor, hatred, talking about history, and discussed a bit about the latest fashion trends. In the book V-Disc, A History and Discography by Richard S. Sears, there's a letter by George S. Simon, who had actually come from the Glenn Miller Band. In it, George Simon talks about his meeting with Duke Ellington and getting them to record for V-Disc. One of the most emotional moments occurred when I asked the great Duke Ellington if he would record his band for us. "Why don't you ask some of the guys?" he suggested. So I went over to Harry Carney and Lawrence Brown, whom I'd known for many years, and I asked them. Their reply, in essence, "George, if you are asking us to do this for free, as a personal favor to you, of course we'll do it. But if you are asking us to do it for the Army, forget it. Not when you consider the way they have treated our people." That's why I never had the privilege of recording the Ellington Band for V-Disc. I wonder what made Duke Ellington change his mind. Duke Ellington did more than 60 V-Discs. Many opinions, unpopular of the day, were expressed on some of the records, and I was surprised that those records were still available. And I don't really know how much they were dispersed and distributed throughout, but it was interesting considering the time some of the opinions that were expressed on the records. I'll give you a sampling of the introductions on a few of these records, and you can give me some feedback and see what you think. Maybe somebody knows out there would change Duke Ellington's mind if he actually knew at that time what an impact it might have on the masses who would hear some of his recordings. Thank you.
Hello, fellas. This is Rochester, Jack Benny's personal advisor. Duke Ellington and his orchestra are waiting to play their version of Frankie and Johnny for you. But let me slip in here and say hello to you on your wonderful V-Discs.
Hello, fellows. This is Barry Ulanov of Metronome Magazine. V-Discs asked me to say a few words about Duke Ellington's Black, Brown, and Beige, parts of which you're going to hear on these two sides. The first part, the part you hear on this side, is the blues. In the blues, Duke is writing a parallel to the history of the American Negro after the Spanish-American War. He's trying to express, and very successfully, I think, the feeling of general despondency, of sadness, which overcame the Negroes at that time. He uses a voice, in this case Marie, to express the words of the Negro at that time, and he uses a tenor saxophone to get some of the lambent feeling that followed the Spanish-American War among Negroes. You'll hear at the end of it, too, a beautiful, crushing chord. Then on the other side, you'll hear three dances. First, the West Indian dance, which is to portray the action of the free Haitians in the American Revolutionary War. Then Emancipation Celebration, in which you have the jubilance of the youth among Negroes mixed with the bewilderment and confusion among the old people. And last, the Sugar Hill Penthouse, which sums up a whole period in Negro history when Harlem opened up to the wealthy Negro entertainer. The music catches all of this with a buoyancy that you get from the plunger trumpet of Rex Stewart, from the whole brass section, and finally in the last, the Sugar Hill Penthouse, from the lovely saxophones with Harry Carney's baritone on top. I hope you enjoy all of this as much as I have.
Fellas, on V-Discs, you've just heard Duke Ellington doing The Tattooed Bride, and here is the Duke to explain the music to you.
The Tattooed Bride is quite different from all other tattooed
people because rather than having, say, for instance, an anchor here and an initial there and so forth and so on, she was tattooed with only a repetition of many W's, it seemed, you know, in different sizes and shapes and places. And, you know, if you take a pencil and write a W, you get the sound of za, zoo, za, za. And so, you know, just like. That's the way we rehearsed it.
Hello, everybody. This is Leonard Feather again. I'd like to tell you a little about a composition by the name of The Golden Cress, which was performed and recorded recently at Duke Ellington's 5th annual Carnegie Hall concert. The Golden Cress derives its title from a very beautiful blonde lady by the name of Mrs. Cress Courtney, wife of Duke's personal manager. And it is a composition by Lawrence Brown, Duke's trombonist, and Duke Ellington himself. And the collaboration produced something that shows Brown's trombone style in its most melodic vein. So here it is, and I hope you'll like it, The Golden Cress.
Hello, fellas. This is Duke Ellington. The fellas in the band and I are coming at you on this V-disc. The first number in this program is A New World of Coming. It's taken from Roy Ottley's book. We didn't try so much to probably describe the book and what is said in it as much as to try to describe the realization in anticipation of the beautiful things to come will have been enjoyed. A New World of Coming.
Hey there, fellas. My name's Irv Glazer, and I'm the photographer who takes pictures of most of these jazzmen you hear on the V-discs that come your way each month. Special Service has asked me to introduce one of the records, and so it's a real big kick for me to introduce my favorite band, the great Duke Ellington and his wonderful, wonderful orchestra. And how about that, fellas?
Hello, everybody. This is Leonard Feather. I'd like to tell you something about Duke Ellington's new 4-part work, The Deep South, which was performed and recorded recently at his 5th annual Carnegie Hall concert. The first of these 4 parts is what might be called the Dixie Chamber of Commerce dream picture of the South, with the southern skies, Creole gals with flashing eyes, the fried chicken and watermelon, and those good old nostalgic melodies. And then in the second part, which is entitled Hearsay, we hear a different conception of the South from the Dixie Chamber of Commerce picture. In fact, it may, in some respects, be directly opposite. Then in the third part, which is called When Nobody is Looking, we hear illustrated in music the theme that people of very different extractions can get along together in peace and harmony when nobody is looking and interfering with them. And for the fourth and last part, we have the story of the happy-go-lucky local. This is a train that runs in the South. It's not one of those big luxury trains that takes tourists down to Miami. It's just a little old train that stops at all the places you've never heard of, and it has a cheerful old Negro fireman who hums and whistles and plays tunes on the train's whistle. And he seems to recognize everybody and have a cheerful hello for everyone as he passes by. That is, everyone on his side of the tracks. Well, down in the South, it's known as number 42, but we just call it the happy-go-lucky local. So here is Duke Ellington's Deep South Suite.
Hello, men. This is Duke Ellington, introducing via V-discs a composition written by our arranger, Philly Strayhorn, and myself. It's entitled Perfume Suite, and in it we attempt not to describe the various labels we find on commercial perfumes as much so as trying to capture the character a woman seems to take on wearing perfume. The first movement is love, pure love, the under-the-balcony type of serenade. Next comes the direct opposite, violence, which we call strange feeling. The third movement is in a lighter vein, portraying naivety. We call it Dances in Love, or sometimes known as a stomp for beginners. Finally comes complete sophistication, that feeling of over and above everything, just frightfully grand, which is called coloratura. Here it is, the Perfume Suite. We hope you like it.